Look at this number first, 28,102. That's how many complaints General Motors says it got about one engine before it told a single owner there was a problem. Not 28, 28,000. And here's the part that should make your skin crawl. 14,332 of those people told the exact same story. The engine just quit, on the highway, in traffic, with the family in the back. So the question stops being whether GM built a bad engine. The real question, the one nobody at that company once asked out loud, is how long did they know before they said anything? Because the answer is written in their own paperwork, and it's so much worse than a bad engine. Stay with me because we're walking through 4 of them and each one is darker than the last. Let's start with the big one, the 6.2-liter V8. They call it the L87. If you bought a Cadillac Escalade, a Chevy Silverado, a Tahoe, a Suburban, a GMC Sierra, or a Yukon between 2021 and 2024, lean in because this is your engine. On April 24, 2025, GM filed a federal recall on 597,000 vehicles in this country alone. Worldwide, over 720,000. And in their own words, on that government filing, they wrote that the connecting rod and crankshaft components, quote, may have manufacturing defects that can lead to engine damage and engine failure. Hold on to a phrase, loss of propulsion. That's the corporate way of saying the truck dies while you're driving it. But the recall isn't the story. The timeline is, and GM handed it to me themselves. Buried in that same filing is a sentence you cannot unread. They admit in writing that they closed 3 separate internal investigations into this exact problem. February 2022, June 2023, July 2024. 3 times they looked, 3 times they shut the file, and the first owner complaint came in April 29, 2021. Do the math. From the first warning to the public recall is roughly 47 months. Almost 4 years of people merging onto highways in a 2.5-ton truck the company already suspected could shut off without warning. And before you tell yourself maybe they didn't understand it yet, it gets sharper. GM says their supplier had a fix in production by June 1st, 2024. So follow this. They had the cause, they had the cure rolling off the line, and they kept selling brand new trucks with the old defect for nearly a year before they warned a soul. Then in January 2025, the government opened its own investigation. And here's the detail that tells you everything. The same day the government opened its file, GM suddenly reopened theirs too. Funny how that works. So what flips a company from 3 closed files to a 600,000 vehicle recall? Keep that question in your head because the answer connects all 4 of these engines. And it isn't about engineering at all. Now, if you think that's the dirty one, take a breath. Because the next engine has been failing for 10 years and has never, not once, been recalled. Let me say that again. A decade of failures. 0 recalls. This is the lifter problem, the 5.3 and the 6.2, the ones with that fuel-saving tech GM calls active fuel management. The idea sounds clever. The engine shuts off half its cylinders on the highway to save gas. The reality? There's a tiny part inside called a lifter, and when it collapses, it bends a push rod, wipes the camshaft flat, and sends metal shavings through the heart of your motor. By the time you hear the tick, the damage is done. And we know GM knew because they wrote it down. A service bulletin back around 2015 tells their own mechanics, and I'm quoting, to inspect the camshaft for damage while the lifters are removed. They were teaching dealers how to find the carnage a decade ago. So why does this matter more than the recall? Because there was no recall. There still isn't. As I'm talking to you, the government has never opened a single investigation into this lifter defect as its own problem, and GM has never issued a safety recall for it across that entire fleet. Instead, owners got handed repair bills. Court filings document people paying $3,300, $6,000 and up. Quotes, climbing toward $10,000 for a cam and lifter job. And there's a lawsuit, Harrison versus General Motors, filed December 2021, now grinding into its 5th year, where owners allege GM knew from pre-production testing, from its own dealer audits, from the complaints it monitors at the government. The company's answer, the suit claims, was to suggest the customers were responsible. Here's a thought before we move on. There's an entire aftermarket industry making real money whose only product is a little device that switches this GM technology off permanently. When a whole industry exists just to disable the thing your engine company built, what does that tell you? Hold that, because the third engine flips this story sideways. Because now I have to be honest with you, and this is exactly why you can trust the other three. The third engine is the 2.7-liter turbo, the one GM markets as TurboMax, in the newer Silverados, Sierras, and Colorados. And here's the twist you weren't expecting. On the public record, this is the one they mostly caught. You'll find videos screaming that 19% of these engines fail, or that 4% suffer catastrophic damage. I went looking for the source on those numbers. I couldn't verify either one. So I won't feed you a statistic I can't stand behind, because the moment I do, everything else I've told you tonight is worth less. What's actually real is smaller and stranger. In early 2024, GM quietly replaced engines on exactly 12 trucks because the block itself was cast with cracks in it. 12. And just this year, a fresh bulletin went out about a ticking noise from manufacturing debris stuck in the valvetrain. So this engine isn't the villain, it's the control group. It's proof of what it looks like when GM acts early, which makes those 47 months on the first engine look even worse. But there's a fourth engine, and it's the oldest, the smallest, and the only one where the word fire shows up in a federal file. This is the 1.4-liter turbo, the Chevy Cruze, the Sonic, the Trax, the Buick Encore, the little commuter engine millions of people bought because it was supposed to be cheap and safe and simple. Back in 2012, the government opened an investigation, and what they found is chilling. Oil could drip onto a hot surface, and the plastic shield under the engine could catch fire. That triggered a recall on over 413,000 cars, and GM's own filing used words you rarely see them put on paper. It said the fire, quote, could result in injury or death. They fixed the shield. But read the fine print and you find 3 more fires the government couldn't explain, all on this exact engine, and the file ends with the agency saying it would, quote, continue to monitor. 3 unexplained fires, and then the paperwork just goes quiet. But the fire isn't even the part that should bother you most. There's a second defect on this same engine, a cracked valve buried in the camshaft cover. GM put out a bulletin to its dealers about it on November 1st, 2012. The coverage program that actually told owners and paid for repairs? That didn't go out until July 2019, 6 years and 8 months between when GM knew and when the average owner found out. And the strangest part? For an engine with this many documented failures, there still isn't a single unified class action for the gas version in this country. These owners were left scattered, one repair bill at a time, alone. So let's pull it together. 4 engines, 4 timelines, 1 pattern that should change how you walk onto a dealer lot. 47 months on the V8. 10 years and counting on the lifters. 6 years and 8 months on the little turbo. The pattern isn't bad engineering. Cars break, that's life. The pattern is the silence. It's the distance between the moment a company knows and the moment you find out, and every time, that distance was measured in years. And every one of these facts came from documents the public can read. The recall reports, the lawsuits, the bulletins GM wrote for its own dealers. None of it was hidden in a vault. It was hidden in plain sight, in language built to be boring so you'd never look. Loss of propulsion, field action, customer satisfaction program. Words designed to make your eyes slide right past the danger. So before you go, do one thing. If you own one of these engines, go to the government's safety site, type in your VIN, and read what they already know about your car. 90 seconds, and it's free. And ask yourself the question this whole story has been circling. If they close the file 3 times before warning anyone, what files are still closed right now on the engine in your driveway tonight? Because that's exactly where we're going next. In the next one, I'm pulling the thread on the one automaker that has quietly told more owners than anyone to park their vehicle outside, away from the house, away from the garage, away from everything you love, and the reason why will keep you up at night. Subscribe and stay close, because once you see how deep this goes, you'll never look at a new car the same way again.